Everyone knows the term warfare. In the sport of MMA, we're trying to beat each other up to get the submission win, knockout win, and overall win in general. But what do Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor, and even Roberto Duran all have in common? Surprisingly, mental warfare. What's up, everybody? My name is Shorty Torres, and welcome to another episode of Inside Team Shorty, where I'll be talking about the reality, the truth, and everything behind the scenes of the sport of MMA. So back to it. We know what warfare is. Again, we're beating each other to try to get the win. We are in a very physical sport, where again, our bodies take a toll. But something people don't really think about, whether they're the average MMA fan or an MMA fighter in general, is you don't just have to prepare your body, but also your mind. Again, your body's a machine, and if there's no operator, that machine isn't moving. Even if there's an operator in there, how good is he at conducting that machine? What I'm trying to say is, without the proper mindset, without the proper mind, the philosophy of training, you can be the best physical specimen ever, but it doesn't matter when you get under the lights, start to freak out, start to panic, or even your opponent gets inside your head. Like I said earlier, Muhammad Ali, Conor McGregor, and even Roberto Duran all have something in common, and that's mental warfare. And again, I'm going to break down everything individually, but let's start off with Muhammad Ali. Again, a legend in the sport, making movements outside and inside the ring. The guy's amazing, but one thing he did very well, and a famous quote that he states is, if I say I'm the greatest long enough, eventually everyone will start to believe it. He knew that he was great, but he also knew he wasn't the best athlete in the world, and I state that for this reason. Everyone has their kryptonite. It's like rock, paper, scissors. There's always someone that's going to be better than you. That's just how the sport is. Mainly physically, someone will always be better than you. That's just, again, some people train harder, some people are physically born better. But Muhammad Ali trained his mind, and he knew if he took someone's mind out of the game, if he messed with the operator, that machine wasn't going to work to its fullest extent. You look at his extensive career, again, beating multiple guys, but what makes Muhammad Ali different from everyone else, it wasn't his skill. Yes, again, he was a phenomenal heavyweight champion, but his strengths weren't this. Yes, to some extent, but his biggest power and greatest attributes were his mind. He knew how to take someone out of their game. He knew how to mentally manipulate someone to where they didn't even believe in themselves anymore, to where they didn't even want to fight anymore. Again, Muhammad Ali with that quote, if he says something long enough, eventually you'll start to believe it. Even some that had really strong minds went in there, and after they couldn't implement what they wanted to do in the first round, they started to break down and really believe, oh my God, Muhammad Ali is faster, he is stronger, he is lighter on his feet, he's moving better than I am, I won't be able to hit him, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that's where mental warfare came at its finest. Whether you liked his trash talk or not, given I loved it because it was hilarious, he was rhyming, and again, it was fan entertaining, he broke people down, and there was a reason why he did it. It wasn't to attract fans, that might be part of it, but it was to get into his opponent's head and to really break him down from the inside out. He knew once you're inside someone's head, that was it for your opponent. Now let's move forward to a few generations, and today is Conor McGregor. Whether you love him or hate him, given again I'm not a fan of his antics, but it's mental warfare at its finest. He takes a different approach from it and takes it to a whole nother level when it comes to mental warfare. He studies, he digs as deep as possible, and really tries to get into everyone's head. Again, you look at, I think the biggest example is Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is, and I still do believe, the best featherweight champion in UFC's history. Again, that guy went to battle with so many contenders. It really is amazing to see how far he's come in his career. And Conor knew, whether he was a better stand-up fighter or not, that he needed to break him down in a whole different way, to really manipulate him to where there wasn't going to be a chance for Jose Aldo to land that big knockout shot. And for Conor in that fight, through that whole press conference, when the fight first initially got announced, then being dropped, and then being brought back up, that was just more time for Conor McGregor to really implement that mind game, and Aldo couldn't handle it. You look through all the press conferences, hell, Conor McGregor was even talking Portuguese to him. He was really digging deep and trying to implement the best mental warfare possible so his opponent could really take it in. Conor McGregor was so skilled with his mental warfare, he even got the Brazilian fans, Jose Aldo's crowd, against Jose Aldo to a certain extent. So by the time the fight ended up happening, Jose Aldo wasn't the same good old Jose Aldo. He was not just aggressive in that fight, but he was emotionally aggressive. And that's what Conor needed. He needed all those emotions to come out and play. And he knew because of that, he was going to leave himself open. And Conor's damn well skilled enough to see that small opening and knock them out in 13 seconds. Something that's never happened to Jose Aldo before. Why? It was mental warfare at its finest. And we see after that fight, Jose Aldo still competing and knocking out some of the best. Yes, Max Holloway was able to best him twice, but that's Max Holloway. And I do believe Jose Aldo is now past his prime, but he's still able to compete against some of the best in the world. But in that fight against Conor, he became too emotionally attached and his emotions came out to play in the fight, and that's what got him knocked out. But then we also look at when mental warfare doesn't work. Conor McGregor, being one of the best athletes with a mouth, really is a force to be reckoned with. Again, because he manipulates someone so deep inside of them that even some of the best fall. Again, Jose Aldo. But then what happened when he faced Khabib Nurmagomedov? Now, he knew he wasn't going to get inside Khabib's head with the usual trash talk, so he decided to dig as deep as possible, make it as personal as possible. Again, talking about his father, his country, the president, and so many more. But the bad thing was, he didn't look at the strongest thing possible, which was Khabib's mind. Conor's biggest strength is not just his hands, but what comes out of his mouth, his mental warfare. Khabib's biggest strength, besides his Sambo-style wrestling, is how mentally strong he is. Again, he grew up with a military background. His father was in the military, and just his upbringing was so strict and to a point that if you weren't mentally prepared for any of that, he wouldn't have been able to achieve all he's been able to achieve. So going into that fight, yeah, Khabib did take it personally, but that mental warfare, that trash talk actually made him stronger and made him more prove a point that he's not just the best lightweight in the world, but he's better than you, and that's to Conor McGregor. And he damn well proved that point. Even in that fight, Conor mentally broke down, and in between rounds was recorded saying, hey, it's just business, it's just business. But for Khabib, it's all personal. When you bring his family and so many more things inside of it, he's going to use that as strength and as fuel to keep on doing what he needs to do to get that win. And that for Conor McGregor was his biggest flaw in that fight, because Khabib Nurmagomedov was just that mentally prepared. But let's change the sport a little bit. Let's go to boxing. A phenomenal boxer and a legend in the sport is Sugar Ray Leonard. Again, he was the king of kings, fighting the likes of Thomas Hearns, Hagler, and the fight that I'm going to bring up is against Roberto Duran. Now, Sugar Ray Leonard was known for his speed, being elusive, and being his generation's Muhammad Ali. His movement was key, his speed was amazing, and his combinations were relentless. So when Roberto Duran went in there to fight him, he knew that he had to change the game plan. Again, it's like the rock, paper, scissors effect. Roberto Duran was the rock, giving hands of stone, and Sugar Ray Leonard was the paper, that no matter what that rock did, that paper was still going to swallow him whole. So Roberto Duran knew that he couldn't stand and bang with Sugar Ray Leonard because Sugar wasn't going to have anything to do with it. So just like Conor McGregor with Jose Aldo, mental warfare came into play. He started to talk smack. He started to really get as personal as possible. And throughout training camp, Sugar Ray Leonard, he became extremely emotional and wanted to knock out Roberto Duran, which was Roberto Duran's original game plan, was to make Sugar stand in the middle and stand and bang, to not use his elusive movement. Roberto Duran knew he can handle the combinations and he could definitely handle the strikes, but he wasn't going to be able to handle the movement and speed. So he knew if he was able to get Sugar Ray Leonard emotionally attached, to get him to stand and bang in the middle, to put on a spectacle, to make him so emotionally attached that he was going to throw everything that got him that far outside the window so he could knock out someone, Roberto Duran knew that was his biggest strength and advantage. And in that first fight, that's what happened. They stood in the middle and traded multiple times where that was Roberto Duran's strength the whole time. And that's what happened in the first match. Sugar Ray Leonard wanted to knock out Roberto Duran, and that's what they did. They decided to stand in the middle and put on a spectacle for the fans, which again, I'm definitely not going to ever deny that. That's awesome. But it wasn't Sugar's original game plan. And because of that, Roberto Duran was able to come out with the unanimous decision win. Shocking the world. But again, they fought 3 times. Now for the rematch, in that training camp, Sugar, being the champion that he was, and overall really still is, knew that he had to really look back at the film and figure out why all this stuff happened. And while looking through it, he noticed he wasn't the same Sugar he usually is. Instead of moving, using the hand speed and vicious combinations, he decided to stand in the middle. And that was his biggest flaw. Why? Because of mental warfare. He knew that Roberto Duran got so deep in his head that it made Sugar so emotionally attached that it changed his whole game plan. And emotions can break a fighter, again, from the inside out. You can be as skilled as possible. You can be gigantic, you can be huge, you can be fast, you can be elusive, whatever the case may be. But if this isn't working, the rest of it doesn't work as well. And Sugar knew it. So in that upcoming training camp, Sugar Ray Leonard refused to listen to anything Roberto Duran had to say. And in that next fight, it became so famous, it was called the No Mas fight. Before Lomachenko became No Maschenko, Ray Leonard did it first. And he did it to the hands of Stone, the guy that was relentless, always pushing forward, no matter how much he was losing in a fight. Now, why did that happen? Honestly, mental warfare got reversed. The skills were the same, but the real skills of Sugar Ray Leonard came out to play that fight. He was elusive. He was unpredictable. Throwing combinations with so much speed, it was catching Roberto Duran off. Now, Roberto Duran wasn't getting completely demolished in the fight, but during the match, Sugar Ray Leonard was trash talking. He was mocking him. Because of all the taunting, Roberto Duran became emotionally attached himself. And obviously was trying to land those knockout punches, but kept on missing because of Sugar Ray being so elusive as he usually is. He was back to being his usual self. And now Roberto Duran Duran was emotionally attached and being someone different. Because all those missed attempts and the constant taunting of Sugar Ray Leonard, those famous words came out of Roberto Duran's mouth of no mas. He didn't want any more and he quit in that fight. Again, he's called Hands of Stone for a reason. The guy was able to knock out everyone and push the pace in every single fight. Which again, I really recommend anyone to watch Roberto Duran's highlights. The guy is freaking amazing. And to make someone like that quit and say no mas or no more means you broke him down inside out. Physically, he was there, but mentally, he wanted nothing to do with it. Roberto Duran was mentally broken in that second fight. And again, they fought a total of 3 times. That rubber match that came into play was the same exact thing. Roberto Duran was already a mentally broken individual. Again, with many things behind the scenes. But saying no mas in that fight before that came into that third fight, and Sugar Ray Leonard was able to dominate that entire contest. Why? It wasn't because he was physically better. Yeah, that could definitely play a part, but because he was mentally better. He was a lot more mentally prepared and confident going into that fight. He was able to solidify that he was the better individual. Sugar Ray knew that he had to prepare his mind to fight Roberto Duran for the second and third fight, which he did. And again, he showed that he wasn't just physically better. He showed he was mentally stronger as well. Now, overall, I'm really trying to show an example of how mental warfare really comes into play. If this isn't strong, if you're not mentally prepared for a matchup, no matter who you're facing, a guy who's not going to say anything, a guy who's saying too much, or a guy who's saying just the right things that get inside your head. Again, everyone has their niches. I have certain things that I don't like people to say about me, and I'm pretty sure you do as well. But you have to try your best to emotionally find a happy place and bring yourself into the zone and go, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you do. No matter what happens before the fight and during the fight, I'm still going to implement my game plan. Again, I would love to say, oh, this is the perfect remedy, or here are some tips. I think the biggest thing is you have to train yourself mentally, not just physically. Again, physically, you're in there all day. And I know for my last few weight cuts, mentally, it was mental warfare between myself. And my last 2 fights, I wasn't mentally there. And my first one with Jared, I got dropped. And my last one with Alex Perez, I just didn't want to attack back. And I got demolished because of it. It was mental warfare against myself at its finest. And again, I'm still now trying to train my mind and overall self to get ready for my next event, which no news has been updated yet. But again, thank you so much to Brave CF for signing me. And thank you so much for everyone being as patient as you are and waiting for a big announcement as I made earlier in the year. And hopefully another announcement coming soon of when I'm fighting next. But remember guys, train your mind, not just your body. Stay mentally prepared just as you are physically prepared for any type of matchup. Don't get emotionally attached. Remember your goals. Stay confident in yourself and have fun while you're in there. Again, everyone has their own ins and outs. You have to find yours. Find what makes you and definitely find out what breaks you before someone else finds it before you. Stay mentally strong, and this was another episode of Inside Team Shorty. I appreciate the love and support, and again, new gear has come out at teamshorty.com. 20% out of all the earnings goes to the kids in my gym so they can travel, train, and overall stay off the streets. Everything ships worldwide. Again, I appreciate all the love and support. Thank you so much, guys, and until next time, take care.
So